Does that have enough to do?
Well, thank you.
Football.
No, different Corey Davenport.
The gas
The
station.
gas station, Corey Davenport.
Hey, Thursday night, if we ain't done by 7, I gotta go. If it ain't raining. Should be,
I think we can do that.
I'm just saying.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just the
I
I'm just the
got my
duty.
first tournament
I'm
game.
just the duly appointed spokesperson.
The newly appointed chat box.
Are you thirsty?
You get
I've
your
got
money's
something
worth,
to
Mr. Chairman, you get your money's worth. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Curtis.
When it comes to the chat box part of
Hey,
it.
I gotta talk to you too. Bruce Stillman told me something up there, the joint economic industrial board over there. I was just at, so.
No, it's
Okay.
fine. It's 6.
Yep. Yes, sir.
6 o'clock.
All right, item number 1, approve the agenda. You guys got any problem with the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, one thing under item C, I seen this after I was putting the motion sheet together. What I would do on item C, on C of that, I will just use an editorial thing, if I could, to say that contingent on passing the background check and drug test. That coach also, all coaches have to pass background and drug test. That's just assumed, but when I saw that down there, I said, man, I should put that on C2, but that's contingent on passing the drug test. That's something I'd change. If you give me the editorial license, I'll change that when we do the motion.
All right, item number 2, the consent agenda. Don't look over the minutes from the minutes of the last meeting. We got another bus trip.
We do.
Cross country.
This is cross country. Cross country is going to Swanee, so doing their annual trip to Swanee. It's nice to see some normalcy
Mhm.
going on right now, folks. And FFA is going to convention, and I did approve with the executive as my executive authority. There was one that did not get on there, and I went ahead and let them and did it through my executive authority, and that is a girls' basketball to the FCA camp in Knoxville. So I went ahead and let them go and did that through. I said, the board will let you do it. And I said, I don't have a problem with that. So
Who took them?
June.
Didn't athletic director go with them?
Yep. That's good. That's good that they got to participate in that FCA camp. It's a good camp.
I think they really
As soon as I get a recommendation from
Okay.
Principal Nichols, I'll let you know.
We've had people apply.
We have multiples.
How many?
I've to ask Mr. Nichols that. I think about 5 or 6 right now, I think is the total right, the second.
Any of them look promising?
Everybody is promising. Yes, the
No,
answer,
Mr.
the answer is yes, they do, sir.
I'm sorry to tell you that is not what I got.
The answer is yes.
Okay. All right. Item number C, Mr. Curtis has already spoke to us about, that's Angela Molnax. Anybody got anything you want to add?
And you have all those the youth football coaches contingent upon your action at your last meeting to bring that program under the school's football program. All those will have to be passing background check and the drug test. So, and let's get those scheduled. Shannon will get those scheduled and they'll come in and do that.
Did they have to have that when they did it outside of school?
No, I don't know. I'm not a member. Derek can probably tell you that because
We don't have to have, well,
Junior pro don't have to do it.
junior pro don't.
I knew that.
Baseball, we did background checks in baseball.
I knew that.
Junior pros don't.
Right, so that's what I was wondering.
and
if
that
people
may
were-
be coming, if that's truly under the auspices of the school system, then guess what? Then it'll be the same thing for those coaches too. Junior, Wade and I've already discussed that under the interscholastic.
Okay.
Y'all want to read these names out loud? You could.
I'm good.
I'm good.
While we're on that, do we decide how we're gonna do the drug test payment?
Reimbursement, that usually the coaches, if it's a volunteer coach, they pay it, but you can say that part of that athletic policy that you want to do, then you can go back and do that under the reimbursement. That's up to this board. We reimburse, the only ones we reimburse on a background check and drug test, we gotta talk about background checks. Seriously, I've got a thing I need to talk to y'all, we need to talk to y'all about that. But the drug test, we reimburse those non-certified employees is who we reimburse because they make jack squat anyway. Literally, I mean, they make such a minute amount. I'll watch my language here. Don't want to say what jack squat is, but that's what that is, Wade. And so what we've done in the past, we've reimbursed them. Teachers, we don't reimburse. That's just been the policy. That's the way that we've done it since I can remember. But on that background check, we worked with TSBA, and I did get us an answer for that, which I think I sent y'all an email out on that. Is on background checks, period. We've got till 2023 to get all of our background checks. Everybody's got to have a current background check, meaning current within the last 5 years.
How many teachers do we have that haven't had one?
It's a lot, but it's not. I don't think some older folks, me older. I'm not going to say any other names in the room. I'll get hit, but
Yeah, you would.
but older folks. I'll give you an example. Mr. Pitts. Okay, Mr. Pitts been employed in this system for over 55 years, let's say. So 55 years, and so he's never had one because he's been grandfathered in over that period of time. He's been grandfathered in to do that. So that's the ones it is. These newer folks, yes, absolutely. When you come in, you do background check, drug test, whether you're certified or non-certified. But you've got some of us more mature employees that never had them. So
we don't.
but what I would suggest, we need to look at that as a study and to see, because I think if we did part of them this year in our budget and part of them next year in our budget and do that, pay the background check's $35, not a drug test. And we drug test everybody, that's another, 50-something bucks or 40-something bucks, excuse me. So it's about $70-something total that you have to do background check and drug test. But now in this particular motion, if you want to make sure that I go ahead and we reimburse them, then make that as part of the motion. It's when we get to the interscholastic.
We don't have a policy in place.
Correct. Not on volunteer coaches. Volunteer coaches, they just paid it, or the school has reimbursed them. If it's like an elementary basketball coach, then the school has reimbursed them for that in times past. If they don't have a faculty coach, non-faculty coaches.
That being what? You said that. Both?
The drug test, I think so. Karen's here, she's principal. We got Emily online. If you do have a volunteer coach, do you reimburse them when they take the drug test and the background check?
What? I don't know what that is.
I get it.
It's a Madagascar hissing cockroach or something,
Okay.
is he? It's just typical, right?
Got it. Seems like our bug people need to be
I'm
notified.
used to 'em.
Yeah, I'm too.
Listen,
It's been a long time since I had to have one approved, but I'm almost positive when Travis went to go get his, we reimbursed him.
okay, the school reimbursement.
Yeah,
Both?
yes.
Emily Hancock, you're online there. Can you unmute?
Yes,
Emily, do y'all reimburse your basketball coaches when they're on background check drug test?
the last one I don't remember doing that, but our head coach is the one that was a school employee. So the other ones had to be background checked, and they just paid it themselves.
Okay.
What about drug test?
Drug test. What about the drug test, Emily?
As far as I know, they paid it themselves. I didn't reimburse anybody.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
It sounds like it's up to the school.
It is with the school, but this is a countywide deal here. So you probably need to decide, give me some guidance on that, whether you want me to reimburse them or not.
As a principal, I feel like a non-faculty coach technically cannot be paid anyway. I mean, I just feel like
We're
if
giving
they're
them a 1099.
volunteering
We're giving them a
their time.
1099 now. That they will be paid, but as paid as contractual services
That's awesome.
as a 1099.
But at the time that I had,
Right.
we were not paying him, and I felt like that was really not fair for me to say, please come volunteer your time and
And
go
then you
pay
gotta
all
pay-
this
you gotta pay-
money.
You gotta pay $70.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just brought, I know we did, because I remember him bringing back.
So
his
give me your guidance
paperwork.
on that, and I will, when we get to the athletic school, interscholastic athletics.
That's what I hadn't even seen the policy.
I mean,
That's my question.
pay for
If we got a policy, I want to look at the policy.
the drug test. And the background check, I mean, you're hiring an employee.
And keep everybody on the same playing field, you
Well, I
know?
mean, I don't think it's fair to pay for an assistant coach or a volunteer coach and then make a teacher pay for it.
What I
The
thought.
teacher would already have one when they're hired, right?
Correct.
That's what
You're
we're
talking about
talking
being a coach, or you're just saying when they become a teacher?
When they become a teacher, that's all, he's talking about teachers and everybody.
It's not fair to pay for one and not pay for everybody.
That's how it's been done in the past. I'm just telling you, I'm giving you the messenger here of what has been done in the past.
Need dressed up.
I think they put that on the next agenda.
Yeah, sure.
And if you're paying them, that kind of changes it, because I feel like as a teacher, if you're getting a job that's going to pay you, that's just kind of investment in that. But in the past, the reason I reimbursed a coach is because he was not getting paid anything at all for his services, and I just didn't think that was fair. So if you're paying the coaches, that might change the playing field a little. Like, is it worth it to him to pay for that to get whatever he's getting for coaching?
That's just a contract service. They get a 1099. They have to pay the taxes on that, on 1099. We started doing this last year, and I think that's good enough for that. It helps them a little bit. I think Brian Elrod brought that up. Okay. But that's where we're at. Where's where we're at. So when we get to interscholastic, we'll go from there. Any other questions about the elementary youth football coaches?
Item number 3, safety report. Ms. Patrick, you want to go through and say that?
Sure can. Keep things talking about. While you're on the coaching, building the compliances for this year, for the next school year, I think I'm already up to 8 already. One of those compliances is concussion and sudden cardiac arrest training. We don't have to worry about that at the high school level because TSSAA, but there's always been issues at the elementary school level because we have so many volunteer coaches and they change periodically throughout the year. Anyone, and this even goes to junior pro, anyone that coaches is supposed to go through that training every year. They're also supposed to hand out those papers to parents about concussions and sudden cardiac arrest. And they're supposed to have a signature on file for 3 years and keep those on file for 3 years. That's been in the training package since I've been doing this. So you have a new, or you have an AD at the high school and you have, who should be monitoring that. I don't know how that works at the elementary level, but I think that's a discussion y'all need to have when you're talking through this policy, because that needs to be a part of the policy, because all it takes is one student. We don't want anything to happen to our children, but all it takes is one. And if that paperwork is not there, then no matter what kind of insurance you have, it's going to come back to the school system. So you need to make sure that whoever is the athletic director for elementary sports, or who's in charge of that, is making sure that they're looking to see that those compliances are done. Now, I put those in the staff Google Classroom that I send out every year. Principals all have access to that, and they're called teachers of the classroom. So that means they can assign anyone that particular part of the training. It's free. It's through that National Federation of High School Sports or whatever. So I just want to make sure, I wanted to put that on record, that that's there, but I'm not sure how accurate it has been kept over the course of the years, just because of the changes in volunteer coaches and that type of thing. So I just think that's something to think about and maybe have a discussion about of how we're going to keep track of that and who would be in charge of that. As far as the school safety plan, I'm going to start working on that hopefully next week. And then once that's completed, I'll give you access. You'll get an email. It's through Navigate. If you've never been on Navigate, see me sometime in July, the board after the board workshop or meeting or sometime, and I will show you how to get onto that platform where you can see the plan. Once a plan's created, I just push a button and it shoots it out to the schools. And then the schools have access, and then they can build their plans from that. So it's a great tool. It keeps a lot of people from having to do a lot of extra work. We also have applied for an epidemiology grant, and I'm bringing this under safety because it is a grant that will allow us, our nurses, when I say us, I mean nurses, to be able to do COVID testing for our staff. It also can be extended to students, and what that would do is it would allow us, or with permission, it's volunteer, it's not mandatory, I'm gonna put that on record, but if someone presents with symptoms, instead of sending them home, we could do a rapid test and either confirm or not confirm that they don't have COVID and they can go back to work. They don't have to go home and be quarantined. I wish we'd known about this back last July, but they didn't have it available. And so all we did was we put our name on a piece of paper saying that
We thought we're thinking about it.
we're thinking about it, and then all of a sudden, bam. And
You
it's
got
a
it.
significant amount of money that can be used for a wide variety of things that are around testing of COVID, which a couple of those things are resurfacing some major parking lots at the high school, because you have to drive up to get a COVID test, because part of this is we have to offer COVID testing like an event. So I know it's
Whatever works.
whatever works. And so hopefully it'll be approved and we will have the equipment and the test, no cost to the county,
Okay, any
lots
funds
of
will be expensive
additional funding that we can use
for nurses.
for our nurses and our health services that they
So we
have
can't-
not had in years. We can refurbish clinics, we can buy health equipment that we have not been able to purchase, supplies, lots of things. So I just wanted to bring that up because you will see, if this is approved, you will see in next month the protocol. There is a protocol we'll follow. Everybody will be notified. And again, it's a volunteer basis. It's not something we're going to do. We're not going to do everybody. And it is a rapid test. And then if it were positive, then we would tell them to go to their local doctor or health department. But it keeps people in school.
And we
And
were,
it will help parents, so they don't have to come pick up their children.
and this came
all the
from
time.
the State Department of Health, which
Yes.
gave it to education, and education said, you apply, you can apply. You just said, we're thinking about applying, and boom,
There it was.
here we go.
So Nurse Leslie has been leading all of the information as far as the health service part. And Stephanie Alexander and myself, we had to write this very quickly. We got it and then it was due like within 5 days. So I don't know if the first draft will be approved because in 5 days, you know, just had to write something.
How much did you give?
$534,000.
Really?
It's gonna be huge. I'll just put that. I'll leave it at that. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. This went back into. Oh, Number 4, review interscholastic athletics policy number 4.301.
Basically in yellow is what's been added. And some, I think there might have been a little bit of revisions above.
Very little, very little.
Very little, just wording. And this is not the final chapter. It's the first chapter. The work, handbook is yet to come. And the only reason we didn't present that to you guys tonight is because we want more eyes on it. We want to get the new athletic director involved. Both of them.
Do we have a new one?
Mr.
Yeah.
Nichols is,
I guess I was all right to say that one.
that's fine, you know, Mr. Nichols
I thought he was
is bringing that, and he is appointed Mr. Jeremy Tenpenny as that, as the new athletic director.
And I think Roger's gonna take the,
And then we'll keep Roger on as the assistant for or coordinator of all middle grade sports, all elementary and middle grades and elementary sports will be Roger's title.
So Roger, Mr. Turney will be the athletic director for middle and elementary, football, basketball, all of it. Okay.
Ms. Tenpenny will be the one who's being over that program, being over the high school, basically, then Roger will be over but he'll have the final say, but Roger will be the middle grade sports coordinator, which now is elementary, middle grades and elementary sports
Roger
coordinator.
Attorney or
Roger Haley, Roger Haley.
Oh, goodness, I'm so sorry.
That's okay, I just wanted to
Yes.
clarify
It's a
that.
deja vu.
Yeah, I knew who I was talking about.
Okay, I just wanna make sure.
Roger Haley will continue, will be the, very well qualified for that position. Did a great job with all sports up to basketball now. He'll be doing basketball as well.
okay, any questions after reading it over or let us know if you see anything. It's stands out to you.
We're gonna talk about grades and stuff that are on the handbook.
It's basically in the handbook.
Do you have somebody working on a handbook, or is that something principals will see before?
Yeah,
Principals will see.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry.
that's all right. Well, yeah, principals will eventually see this.
As well as, we got a draft copy.
Coaches.
We got a draft copy, basically very similar to what the high school has already. And then we've got a working copy that there's a middle grade section and there'll be a elementary section. And that's where we basically going to take the elementary basketball rules and apply them to all elementary sports is what we're looking at that. So principals will, the DLM, the July DLM, that will be certainly a part of that discussion. And we may have another round of discussion too after that too. But this is a work in progress.
So mainly Thursday, you just be voting on this particular aspect of this policy, the 4.301. And then later attached to this will be the handbook.
What you needed too, board members, is this deal about homeschool students really needs to be in place before, they're starting, tryouts have already been done in several sports. And so this gives the teeth to that. And notice that our Tennessee Middle School Athletic Association Article 2, Section 25 bylaws are mentioned twice. That's on purpose. That's on purpose there, that that homeschoolers understand that they've got to follow the TMSAA guidelines. And we'll have those guidelines set up. The copies of that will be available when they come in to be homeschooled or register us for homeschool. We'll send them to the website, and then also have paper copies if they desire that, if they're interested in any kind of.
I really need
Sports.
that because if there's that August 1st deadline, that needs to be on the website now because I'm already getting a few homeschool enrollments. I have a lot coming back to public school, but I am getting those that usually homeschool.
So if we approve this Thursday, how quick can you get that on site.
With TMSSA, we've already got a variant of that on the site right now. The site's gonna be completely overhauled in July, so we'll have that up there ready to roll. And we can do that
Is
as
that
part
what
of the
you're talking
homeschool.
about, Bonnie? So that
That'll
people
be
can
part of
go
the
to it, look at
homeschool.
it?
I have a link where I have forms and documents. I just need whatever you have printed there and I can,
And we put the policy on the site too. This is the policy as of when you voted, if you voted in on Thursday night, this is the policy. And we'll have that on there.
Just in case somebody says to you, well, you don't belong to that association, we're not saying that. We're saying we have adopted their policy. Not that we have membership with them, we just concede that their policies are a good policy to have, and we're want to use that, adopt that policy. Then down the road, we ever have a middle school, then we
okay.
will join.
I do have one question. I had a parent contact me last week about band. Homeschool parent,
What band?
high school band.
Oh, they want to be a part of the band?
They also are wanting to be part of clubs.
It's a class.
It is a
That's
class.
what you get credit for it. It's not a sport.
True.
So,
Hate to see somebody with their number, you hate to see turn anybody back, but it does open a can of worms for us clubs and everything else.
We knew this was coming down the road. We knew this was coming. Yeah, I can check and see what some other school systems are doing, but I can tell you probably what they're doing. I can
how
tell
do
you.
you handle that one without involving them in the house? I mean,
There's
Check
some,
it, water.
a couple
They've
of-
already contacted the high
Consider it
school
water,
and they were
it's been
told
part of water
okay.
down there.
a
Check,
couple
check,
of,
check, see what they
what?
say.
Well,
did you know she said,
I'm sorry.
No, they contacted the high school and they were following the athletic guidelines by letting the high school know
That they were.
that they
interested
were
in.
interested in doing
So
that. So
they-
that's when I said, oh, they
Oh.
told them, okay, they told them, okay, you've let us know because they sent an email, but they were wanting more information. And I said that you guys were meeting about all of this and I would let them know, so.
I'll tell you from a principal's perspective, we need to be really careful with clubs, and I'll tell you why. We've looked into this already for Beta Club, and there's no way for us to police what parents are doing and what grades they're giving their children to say that, yes, they make the grade for Beta Club. And we've had homeschool students ask about being in Beta Club before. And we did look at what other clubs were doing, and they, for the most part, do not allow homeschool for that very reason, because we don't police the grades and Beta Club's based on grades.
I think most homeschools have a,
Have their own, their own honor club,
But
that
I just say,
homeschool
when
organizations.
we're
do,
talking about
right.
clubs, I heard the word clubs going on once we said band, and then I heard the
Oh,
word clubs. We need to be very careful.
We've had this discussion before.
I have some really good friends who homeschool, but if you want to be part of our school system, please do. That's all I have to say about that.
I agree with you.
Well, if we let someone, like with band, I'm all for helping the band out, but if it is considered a class and we're letting them take the class, then that opens it up to any class.
that's class. I mean,
Well,
it's like-
now,
So are
are
we
they
homeschooled or
saying,
not? That's the question.
Bonnie, are you saying what, they just want to come and play with the band at a function, or they want to take a class?
They just said they want to be part of the band.
So
So not all
They
the
just
band class.
They do know,
They
this
do know
person
class,
knows,
okay.
this person understands. And their children have been part of the band,
Okay.
but they have decided to homeschool.
does the band go to the field to practice during class?
No, that,
No.
They do it
That
after.
extra-
they do it
After
after school, it's
school.
after school.
Activity.
Aaron, I have a
They do
question.
have
But I
it's a
would say
class.
that
Yeah,
It's
they,
like
if a
the
band
end of the
class, I
day.
think it's seventh period band class, yes.
They learn their music.
But
So
that's
they're
what
using
they
how
are.
to play their instrument at
Yeah,
that time.
and then afterwards, they go back down and usually they practice back there on that,
So it's-
on the field over there where the walking track's at now. that walking track, they utilize that field for their practice.
They practice outside school hours.
Okay, I have
They're
a
ready
question,
for
I have
it,
a
right?
question about grades.
You going right, you see wrong, well, great.
How do we keep up with these homeschool kids' grades? We don't know what they're being taught at home.
That's
Or
what
we're
I'm
allowing them to
saying.
play
That's
sports.
what I'm saying.
That's true. That's where
I
Tennessee
said
Middle
about
School
later.
Association says that all they care about is, wait, you know, take that
End
over.
of the year.
The end of the year is what they care about, whether they passed or not. That's all TSSAA or TMSA says.
An independent homeschool student, the parent assigns the grade. That's it. They're never turned in.
And they
The only thing they
decide
turn in to
promotion,
me is
retention.
an attendance calendar, and I hardly get those.
So if my son was failing in public school, I could take him home, homeschool him and let him play football and say he's passed.
100%.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you couldn't do it the same year.
No,
Of
but
course you didn't.
Right.
But you could. the
But
next
you
year.
can August 1 register him and
Yeah.
get them.
There's only testing that independent homeschool students have to do is 5th, 7th, and 9th grade EOCs.
At the end of the year.
That's the only EOCs
That's
there?
the only test that they have to
Period.
take, 5th, 7th, and 9th grade EOCs.
what's our percentage of homeschool kids
Um,
normally? Is it, I was just curious, in a normal year when it's not COVID.
a normal year, 1%.
Okay, so we don't have that many.
Probably less than 1%.
Okay.
They still have-
About 100, right, or so when you consider all.
120, 30 on a normal year. That's, now that's counting private school, that's counting boy
Umbrellas.
Christians and the umbrella schools,
Okay.
that's counting
Wow.
everything.
I didn't realize that. And that puts a whole different slant on it for me.
For the sports?
But
If we can't if they can't show us what their grade average is. for
But they
grading,
can, we just don't have any, control over how they get
Policing
that.
on that is what would be the deal on that.
I don't, I'm talking about somebody independently grading them. If they don't have that, I don't think they should be allowed to play sports. They should have the same standard. We can't put the same standard in place.
But we have to offer them the
Offer.
opportunity
To
to
try
try
out.
out.
All this policy, all the policy says is that we allow you to try out. If you look at that, wishing to try out, if you look at line 5, homeschool students wishing to try out for middle grades athletics
Doesn't mean they have
and
to.
elementary athletics shall comply with the TMSAA Article 2, Section 25 bylaws.
But if every homeschool kid don't make the team,
Well, that's true.
then you're looking at a whole nother
But you,
lawsuit.
what about high school?
That's
Same
up to
thing.
TSSAA
And
Same
what-
thing.
and their policy on
I
TSSAA
don't
would
remember
be.
what the policy said, but they don't even
Would be.
consider grades, so we put our own policy, we're putting our own policy in for grades. So
I mean, they
We'll have to look
say-
at that when we go through that.
we're gonna have to look,
handbook.
we're gonna have to revisit that.
We revisit that deal on the handbook.
Let's hope that their parents are.
No, I can't do that. I don't like
No,
that
because we'll have a
idea.
bunch of kids pulled out of school.
But you gotta
For
follow, you
sports.
gotta follow the TSSAA and TMSAA rules in regarding. And that's been on your policy since 2015, your original policy. That was on your original policy that, elementary school shall be, the old policy said the same thing. It said homeschool students wishing to try out for elementary athletics shall comply with TSSAA Article 2, Section 25 bylaws. That's all you said about homeschool. That they shall follow that. We've been following that since 2015.
But we haven't had a handbook, athletic handbook.
No.
Stating grades.
Is painting considered a sport?
Cheerleading's not
Considered a
considered
class.
sport.
Surely.
Cheerleading's not considered a
And
sport.
we
We
let
had a
that,
majority
we
of
let
the
that happen.
Huge debate. Huge
And we
debate
let
about
that
that.
happen already, so I
I
think you've
know.
already set your precedent right there.
That's what I was getting at.
Well,
Didn't
we have it,
last
we
year?
could say
Yes.
COVID caused that.
It was on a case by case basis during that time.
Exactly. What do you think, Mr. Chairman?
Me personally, if they're, I mean, if the kids want to join, I mean, if he ain't coming to class, then it's after out of school hours when they're practicing.
What I think is this is a lot like our transfer policy. You'll never get everything.
There's always gonna be a lot of gray.
There's no way to pinpoint every single person. But you have some guidelines to go by that we don't have. I don't think it's fair to a regular student.
I don't either.
I think we're gonna have to stick as close to it as you can.
But I look at it this way too. You can't punish a kid for his parents.
And I think if you look at line 17 to 19, I think that would help to cover part of that. For making a middle grades or elementary team, student must be ruled eligible according to middle grades and elementary grades policies as referenced in the Canton County Schools Athletics Handbook and comply with TMSAA Article 2, Section 25 bylaws.
Yeah, I guess you just have to, a little honor code there.
Upon making the team, you're going to be saying, this kid's doing what he should be doing in a homeschool situation. And yet that's what you have to, that's basically what you have to go by. Now, if they are a member of an umbrella, they'll have grades, an umbrella school.
Sometimes the umbrella schools are just a clearinghouse.
So
where
do we-
parents just send in something at the end of the year for them to house?
Did you say we have to let them participate or try out? We have to?
let them
Okay,
try.
we have to, this is law, this is
Okay.
law. You're looking at
State law.
TCA law that you have to allow them to try out. Now, that's for if TSSAA at the high school level. So your policy now says you're going to go by TSSAA guidelines. By doing it, everybody thinks it's about the insurance policy, but it's also about the other policies that are in that section too, that has to do with academics.
So would a band student have to have an insurance policy? Because that was asked.
Yes, because they're gonna go on bus trips, football games and stuff. I would think they would need that insurance policy.
What
They could
happens-
fall off the bleachers.
That's what I was just gonna say.
See, band is not considered a sport, so it wouldn't even be in your interscholastic
Did we
athletics
make
policy.
that-
It would have to be in another policy somewhere else
cheerleading.
with extracurricular
Did we
activities.
make that cheerleader by insurance?
We did.
Yes,
But is she still homeschooled?
I can't say that on the
Yeah.
record.
I don't think so.
TSSAA. Same thing as cheerleading as an activity. It acknowledges-
Activity,
I don't think we-
but not a
it-
sport.
But it
Sports
acknowledges.
players right now. We do? Okay.
But it acknowledges it as an activity.
It's not a sport, it's not an even.
I think we're gonna have to research that a little more.
That's what Wilson's doing over there. And I can check around some of these others, but, and it's probably already happened in some of your larger school band programs that are really recognized. I'd say it's already occurred in the past, somewhere in the past, I'm sure. And they were saying, are you a student at, that's probably in their thing, you must be a student at Canton High School to participate in academic activities, academic extracurricular activities.
Surely it falls under TSSAA, doesn't it?
Well, it's an activity, it is, but it's not.
It's an activity in those sports.
But it's.
They want it both ways. They want to be under government, but then they won't recognize it as
That's
sport.
what I
Right.
did.
We
That's
should
what
have
I thought.
got that this year.
Oh, well, we've,
Yeah, I
Should've
remember.
told them.
I have a friend on the board of governance on that, and it comes up quite often on the board of governance of TSSAA. Fellow director, we kid him all the time about it.
Okay, let's,
Okay, I mean, do y'all like what is there? Is anything I just could just wait that I need to work on between now and Thursday?
Do we need to take cheerleading out of that wording?
I wouldn't think so. I think because it's an activity, they would argue the point. I think an attorney would get involved and argue the point. Well, TSSAA recognizes that's an activity.
But,
So
will
we
they-
pay club activity, they ain't in sport, they ain't a
Sure.
athletic policy.
I
I
think
can
we
argue
need,
both ways.
we'll need to find out if bands will be considered an activity before we vote on this Thursday.
Well, I can tell you that. I can tell you probably the answer to that. It's a class that they have to
I
have.
need to find out though. I have. a
I'll find
parent
out.
that
I
is
will find out.
Ready.
Yeah, but if it's after school, if you don't take band class, can you not be in the band?
No,
Can't.
I mean, we've had,
I just check it. I mean, I just,
20-year graduates has been in the bank.
Well, they have to help them out. We've had we've had some alumni come in and assist multiple times.
Filling space.
Yes,
I just think we need to double check it before Thursday.
okay. Anything else I need to check on that?
We're moving on. I think item number 5 directly ties in with number 9, so I'm gonna put that off for just a little bit here. That's the board invitation for presentation at Auburn Table. I'm gonna move it down to number 9, and talk about those together. Item number 6, the CCHS kitchen boiler and tanks replacement at the high school. Mr. Curtis, you got that?
Absolutely. You got in your packet a turnkey proposal from Train that to do this option, you have option 1 and you have option 2. Basically, the difference between the two, option 2 has 2 tanks, like is at the high school right now. And I would suggest going with option 2. Option 1, you might get by when if you're not washing a lot of dishes and stuff like that and large amounts of water. I'm thinking what we do there is we continue that on and do that. So my strong opinion there would be definitely to do the option 2. And the only reason I asked to put on there is that where do you want me to draw that $66,375? And that is from Train. That's through U.S. Community. It will not have to be bidded out because it's through U.S. Community. And the last page, you can see the legal thing from their advisors, from Train's advisors, saying, yes, you can do that because it's part of the U.S. Communities. That's a nationwide organization. It's kind of like the TAP program that we're involved in through the state, using the state bid. So perfectly online with that. So there's the price. Derek has looked at this too and examined it. So we think it's a good price to be done for, especially in today's environment. We think it's a great price. So I'm just asking, where do you want me to take it out of? That's what I'm asking the board to tell me to do. Do I wait to do ESSER? Yeah, and then it'll be under the Davis-Bacon provision, or do I take it out of capital outlay?
We got enough in this budget.
Yes, sir, we do. In this budget this year, you have about 66,000. I sent y'all an email on that. So you have about 66,000, there's about $200 that'll leave us in capital outlay. But yes, sir, you do have enough to cover.
Larry, got anything else you want to add to that?
I would just suggest doing option 2 and going ahead and get both of them. Both the tanks put back in, because you're looking at a $7,000, little under $7,000 difference. If we have to come back and put that tank in, you're gonna look at $20,000 with labor. So you're already gonna have the labor there to do it, so you might as well.
It's already plumbed too, that you got.
There, you might as well just do it all new right now. And I've looked at pricing, and it's a good price. I mean, a mom and pop shop might could do it a little bit less, but you're not gonna have what you have with Train and this U.S. Communities and stuff.
Anybody else got anything?
And Derek, your company has that too, right? U.S. Community pricing too.
Something else happens between now and July. We got a place that we can move.
We do.
We do.
I talked to Douglas on that. We've got some places where we can move funding if it needs to. Budget amendment probably have to be done, but we're gonna have to have a bunch of them anyway, so. Hopefully we don't have any major things happen between now and July.
All right, item number 7, approve IDEA and ESEA budgeting, including officer amendments and addendums.
Okay, this is the IDEA ESEA budget. This is the federal part of this of the budget that has to do with what Ms. Mullins does, and also the special education portion of that. So Ms. Mullins is out of state right now. So Ms. Julie will come to tell you about the IDEA portion of this budget. So Ms. Julie, you are on, and
They give us an allocation in the different departments, like mine with IDA and then IDA preschool. And so they give us a certain allocation preliminary. We have to budget it out, and we've done that through the state. They've approved that. Mr. Curtis has approved it, and there's a form that y'all, or I guess
Mr. Chairman has to sign.
off on, yes. That you're gonna accept the budget that we put in. We'll get our final allocation within the next couple of weeks, so it could be more or could be less than what they've originally given us.
And traditionally in the past, that's not changed a whole lot
Yeah.
at all from the state. So all this said is you've reviewed and you're ready to go.
Any questions?
It doesn't affect the general purpose budget or anything like that. This is just what we get from.
From the feds. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
Item number 8. Review the initial draft of the fiscal year 2022 to the County Commission Budget Committee and Fort County Commission. Passed 68.5, the budget committee. didn't it?
The budget committee passed 68.5, sending it on to the commission, and you have a budget committee meeting coming up on Monday night, June the 14th, 5:30 p.m. So round 2 with the full commission on June the 14th. And, I'm sure there'll be lots of questions from particular commissioners in regard to the budget. And they'll say, well, what are you going to do with the 85? What you asked for 85, but the budget committee has recommended 68.5 is what they've recommended. Now, there's still a chance you could get 85. I think that chance is greatly diminished. I'm trying to be nice, Mr. Chairman, but I think it's been greatly diminished.
But we asked.
But you asked. And, and so you asked for it. This is what the budget committee has recommended. And
I'd like to commend everybody for coming, sticking together. See what it's like.
so round 2, June 14th, 5:30. Now the commission will be voting on a recess. They've recessed their other meeting because they put the agenda, their budget on there. And so they recessed until June the 29th at 5:30 to only look at those couple of items.
Is that when we need to be there?
I'd say be there the 14th. 14th is going to be better to be there because it's a
5:30?
workshop, 5:30 if you can. And we're number 1 on the runway. So the chairman said that we're going to be, education will be number 1 on the runway. He did that as a courtesy, didn't have to do it. We could have been,
This is full commission.
we could be 25th. This is a workshop too. So it's not a formal commission meeting. It is a workshop. So they're doing like what we're doing right now, except they're going to be examining the budget. And
You said 29th was the other.
the 29th at 5:30 is the full, but they're not going to debate a lot on the 29th, because if they do the 14th, and I think that the rumor is they may do another one at some point, if they don't get through with everybody's budget on the 14th. So if we go first, depends on what they say, and it depends on the commissioners. I'll just tell you right off the bat, it depends on the commissioner circle. And how much they ask and how much they go into asking. And that's where I rely on what Douglas has put. That's where I rely on the board, because it's your budget going to them. And that it's our, certainly a recommendation, and certainly by our department heads that say, this is what's going to get us through these particular amounts.
We won't need a motion or anything on this.
No, this is just for informational purposes, unless you want to change the budget and say, we'll go ahead and adopt 68.5. But as we go down further, when you get down to the adjournment, I'm going to make a suggestion there. So that this has to do with the budget. So I do have a suggestion when it gets down to item number 14. I've got that in there. I'm asking you probably to recess this meeting and be ready to do another meeting on perhaps on June the 28th, and say, that's one item on the agenda to go ahead and whatever they say they're gonna approve, and come back, and that way you've done it. You don't like it, but you approve it, the 68.5. You don't like it, but we'll approve that to go on further. And any of other budget amendments, there will be more budget amendments according to Douglas. So you do that for 28th, and then just get that to be prepared to send to them for those budget amendments. And they're saying for the budget and budget amendments is what can be voted on at that recess meeting of the commission on 29th. So we do them on the 28th, and we'll send them over there, send them over there and have them ready for them to go. And that way you don't have to meet anymore, do anything more, because you will be in a new fiscal year then at that point after July 1. They're trying to get the comptroller's attention that, we've never sent a budget that early to the comptroller. That's what the commission wants to try to do. So this is what we're doing.
All right, anybody else have any questions? Item number 9 is the restructuring the Cannon County school system, the plan forward. I think we need to get a couple community, maybe more than a couple, maybe get somebody from the community from each of our districts.
I probably should have put this one on 11 if you can, Mr. Chairman. This is a budget amendment that we've got going over to the commission. That's all it is. So before you get into that long drawn out one, this is all it says, a budget amendment.
That's it, just one.
Just one. We got a Middle Tennessee Natural Gas Hometown Help Grant to purchase Heart Saver first aid and BLS CPR curriculum trained personnel. Ms. Bonnie helped to secure that. And so there you go. Our budget changed about $300.
That was number 11.
That's number 11. Probably should have moved that one up when we were doing it. Probably should have moved that one and get knock it out. Kind of came in last minute, so Doug just had it, and I said, okay, we'll do that one. Still wait until the 28th.
Aletha?
Yeah.
Would you like to select a few people to try to help out with this? Mr. Curtis, we need to know how much of us, how many of the board get together and talk about this with the community without having it written up in the paper. We have to do that. We need to just schedule a workshop for this.
I would suggest doing the same. I'd suggest a workshop. That's the way it's announced and everybody knows.
My two that keep coming to the meetings are very interested in helping.
I'm sure I was gonna bring them.
Yeah,
up.
she's actually, I think she's online. She sent the Zoom link.
I'd love to,
I'm on.
Thank you.
I would love to, find a couple more individuals.
I think that's a good idea to involve the community and, we may want to get a commissioner or two, or
I
three,
think that would be
or do we have a volunteer?
What do you need me to do?
We're going to try to put the plan together for what happens if we receive a certain amount of money again, if we don't, and what we're gonna do with the rest of the money, and if we have to build, or if we're gonna build.
Let me just tell you too, the ESSER funds need to be expended
I understand.
rapidly.
You want to volunteer for that?
If you guys need me,
No, this is.
I really like the idea of bringing part of the community in to have a voice.
I think it's, well,
I said that the other day when we left the courtroom. I think that letting them have a voice is good. Especially if they're,
I don't want it to be, haggles on fussing at the Board of Education, because we're at the point where the money's just not there.
Right.
And the community needs to understand that, and I think they're starting to understand that. We just can't.
I think you'll receive a higher adoption from the general public if the general public is involved in the process and
I do too.
educated as to what's going on. So if each affected area had, 1, 2 people to work through, I think they would feel more comfortable with the changes and be prepared to how that would affect their community.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's fairest and the best way to go about it by far. And talk to your principals, see who they wanna, if they wanna be involved in it, or
They will.
some of the community members, you start asking little questions on that. I'm not sure that we can get that together by Thursday to vote on the workshop or whatever, but we might have a few people that wanna volunteer. You can try to pick some of them out and kind of head that up. You said you already have a couple.
I do, Ms. Harris, and I'm sure Mr. Paxton will want to help.
Can I ask? I haven't had nobody
Just kind of,
approach me.
I'm not sure. We can schedule a workshop though. I'll decide on that, on the date on that. We'll try to schedule a workshop. Wade, you got anybody at Westside that talk to anybody? Karen, you know?
I haven't had anybody being very outspoken. I can find a few that would like to be involved.
Well, I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about anymore. I mean, it's just, we're just not gonna have the funds to do it much longer. I don't know how long we can put it off. And if we do put it off for a while, we're gonna.
Funds to do what? So what are you saying when you say?
I mean, it's just coming. It's a given. It's here.
Thanks for clarifying that, because some people hear you say that and they think you're saying we don't have the money to do the restructuring piece. So what you're saying is we're not gonna have the money to keep all 7 schools open, correct?
That's correct.
And that's what you've said that about every meeting.
It's just here. We've been given a gift of a lot of ESSER money, and you could move the ESSER money around and try to keep the schools flowing for a little while, but 3 or 4 years, you're gonna be right back where you were. Broke again,
Those ESSER funds gone.
and the ESSER fund's gone. And then the state's gonna come in and say, you've got to match the DEP, or we're gonna lose 34 teachers. What are you gonna do? We don't have anything we can do right now. So,
It's time to not only think about the current couple years and the plan to go for that. We have got to come up with a 5 to 10 year plan of where things are going, and not just think about these buildings. We have got to think about the academic growth of these students above everything else. We have all talked about that. And so when we're talking about, I think there has been some giggles about saying restructuring instead of consolidation. But restructuring is a bigger process than just throwing a bunch of kids together in 3 buildings. If we do that. Restructuring is thinking about how you are educating every child in this county. And we have to think through how that's going to look. And it does not change and get better and be more productive or whatever you want to say overnight. It's going to take years. So that's why I'm saying we've got to think about a 5-year to 10-year plan and what all is going to happen during that.
And I'll say, we've looked at the budget at Westside. I mean, I've always been an advocate for keeping our community schools open if we could, but I will tell you, we've looked at the budget and we see what the reality is. I mean,
$1.2 million from Westside.
just the fact of our money in this county and what that reality is.
Gonna be a little hard to schedule, not knowing everybody's schedule. You don't even know who
that's
people
all
are.
right.
You don't know what their schedule
Well, you
is.
won't get everybody
There every time,
meeting.
but-
You won't.
But just to get a start, we gotta know a little bit about who we're talking about.
Right. And now I will tell you this, after looking at timelines, we've got to have the plan, the ESSER 3.0 plan to the state by August 1. We've got to have, so by the July meeting, you're going to have this is where we need to go with these funds. Now we can change them. We can maneuver them there, but Ms. Mullins and then Stephanie Alexander is deeply involved in that. And we're going to have some other meetings too with the community in regarding these ESSER funds. This is very, very community minded. There's a community face to this, community facing as a part of these ESSER funds. So we back and piggyback off of that, Lisa, too, with some of those committees that having a public hearing or whatever in regarding the ESSER, just the ESSER portion of this. You've already elected, $1 million to be placed in facilities. okay, as part of ESSER 2.0. Then the ESSER 3.0 will have to be looked at that. And, you know,
I don't see anything in that 3.0.
My
I looked
deal
at
is-
last night for building.
and so on the 4.0, the ESSER, there is facilities in ESSER 3.0.
I didn't see
That we
it.
can use it on new facilities?
Yes.
I have not seen that listed from,
But
We
you
got
can,
from
but the more that you spend on student achievement, the more incentives the state has, like the Tennessee All Corps. It's a big push from the state right now to do, and there's incentives if you do that. There's certain incentives if you have a certain percentage of that money, particularly if you have 50%. I just turned down another grant of an incentive grant, a planning portion grant of about, it wasn't huge, it was about 75,000. But it was still the planning portion of that where you can hire an outside consultant to come in and to help you plan on the ESSER, called the ESSER planning grant. But there was a stipulation there that said 50% of that grant had to be utilized for learning loss
I thought it was
for
20.
students. It's 20 is the minimum.
Okay.
20 is the bare minimum, and then the percentage on administration. But then it said, but if these districts are to get this other grant, you're gonna have 50% of that $3.5 million then to be utilized for learning loss. So they're trying to maneuver you there. On the state
We need
is.
to know exactly how much money in the 3.0 we can put toward the new building,
I didn't see any.
because we can finish.
I looked at it last night, y'all.
Miss Mullins has looked at that.
There's
On
3 sections to it. It's
Stephanie
all about
Alexander.
learning.
Stephanie Alexander is out of state. She'll be returning next week. I can give you I can give you that funding on that part. What I've looked at is that facilities is still in there.
How much was the exact bid on that number, Kramer?
It's anything from the 1.0 or 2.0 can be used in 3.0.
Correct.
So
That's why you're
for
not
the
seeing it in
facilities.
3.0, because anything you did for 1.0 and 2.0, it can be in 3.0. Bonnie's looked at that
I
some
just
too.
build on it.
So they just added.
It just
3.0.
builds on
And
the
the big
other.
one has a more stuff.
We can completely pay for Kramer's addition. and have
Yes,
some left
yeah,
over.
that was around 2.1, we think, because the building costs go up. I'm gonna talk about that in my comments here. But 1.2.0 or 3.0, this seems, everybody's trying to build right now, and so the prices keep going up. And it will be going up.
Will they give us an extension, you think, because we can't get it done?
No, that we do know.
But we just have to have the plan turned in and what we're gonna spend it on. It
It's
doesn't have
gotta
to
be
be,
spent out by a certain date.
By certain dates, 2024
right, okay.
is what it's got to be spent out of. So to do the wing, you can have it spent out on by 2024. But the other, if you're gonna want to bank any for anything else, I would, student achievement, I would say we need to be up to about, 35% is what I'm trying to get you to look at, about 35% to 40% be spent on student achievement, and the 60% in stone buildings.
All right, see what y'all can put together, we'll go in a little more depth, maybe not as.
But we have a forward-facing plan, a public-facing plan that all this, we have to have these community meetings anyway. Stephanie's gonna have to, and then getting community involvement on committees, but also the general public's involvement in this money. Because they have there's 4 different plans. That's why we've hired additional personnel. There's 4 different plans coming here that has to be part of this. And that's why I chose one of the most detailed people in our district to lead that. 4 different plans.
Let's try to keep it down to, besides the Board of Education, let's not have more than 10, 12 people, because you get so many different, be real selective about who you pick out.
And it can be like a round table discussion.
Sure,
It can.
absolutely, it needs to be.
Okay.
If you get so many people involved, though, you won't gain any headway, you'll just be discussing all night, we've got to move.
I agree.
But we can do that as a part of that too, at that. So, Mr. Chairman, I would strongly suggest that.
Think about some dates and everybody can be freed up. I know it's summer and everybody's taking vacations and stuff, but everybody doesn't have to be here. You have about everybody being here, even board members. I mean, some of us need to be here, but getting us all here this time of year, anybody's just gonna be hard to do.
let me get it straight. We want a committee. But we all should be at that committee meeting if possible.
That's correct.
And then the public will be there too and whoever else too.
And we'll need probably a bigger venue.
We're not
than what
talking
we
about
have
multiple
tonight.
committees for this
Not multiple
particular aspect,
committees,
right?
Right.
Okay.
We can do maybe the cafeteria with Ray Turner. Decent place, or the high school. Okay. And item number 5, we'll get all that worked out, and we'll have some closer answers for item number 5, so. Item number 10, strategic planning and summer retreat.
Exactly what Lisa talked about a moment ago is your strategic planning. We got a good start with our vision, mission, and goals. Great start last year. But we need to continue down the pike in applying those goals. I think maybe getting Ben to come back for round 2, I think for the board retreat, I think would be a good
I don't know, ask if we could get.
to do.
When are you thinking?
That's up to y'all. I just put it on there to get your attention for as we move forward into July and August, and September, to get your opinion. No, there's no board changes in September, so you can start it, you can do it July, August,
You got
whatever.
camp.
That's why I asked.
When's your camp?
I leave the 16th of July and I'm gone till the 31st.
Oh, hallelujah, I'm going entire
16th is 30th.
Yes.
See when Ben can do that, you've got the dates, we're not gonna be here.
I'll chew out 3 Saturdays. July,
Saturdays be better, I'm assuming, or,
probably for Ben. That's what he did before, right?
right?
3rd and the 10th of July.
The only thing with the 10th.
The 10th is the county commission, and I'm out of town.
Hey, we got to move.
I'm out of
to
town.
I'm out.
Do what?
I'm out for July. Like, it's bad.
I think we can solve part of this right here, right now.
How will that affect your August 1 deadline? It won't.
It won't well, she's gonna have to have those things anyway. She's gonna have to have those meetings probably starting in the month of June. She'll be starting the meetings for ESSER, just ESSER
We're talking about
3.0.
strategic planning.
But we're
for the
talking
future.
strategic planning for the future.
Right.
That's
This
gonna be
is our
different.
meetings counting towards our things.
Plan
ESSER
everybody wants us
3.0,
to
ESSER
have.
3.0 only. But now this strategic plan meeting,
Yeah,
that's
I'm talking about
the strategic plan, that's just over what y'all looking at, that 10-year, that 5-year, that 10-year. And after some of your other community meetings that you might have, you might decide that, hey, you might decide to say, this is my recommendations for the 5 to 10-year plan. Strategic plan, you take those goals those 4 big goals over there, and you start talking about those goals and how you're going to implement those. That's what Ben will work with.
See when he's available in August.
I can't the first weekend of August. Y'all, I can't the first weekend of August. If I got prior plans.
I can't the 2nd, I have drill. 14th and 15th, I have drill.
See if he's available on August the 21st.
All right.
Let us know. And that will count toward the board's.
Since this meeting's over, I'll email him and say, hey, Ben, can you hit a retreat on August 2-1?
Thank you.
Is that just
And then you can
board
bring
members
some
or
of the
principals too?
Then you can bring some of the FAPE in there to, some of that.
Don't we have to do this like once a year? It's a requirement. That's what I thought.
You have to go.
Well,
Or go to a meeting.
You've got these meetings that you have to go to and that sort of thing.
If you go to this, you don't have to go to the convention. Right?
That's correct.
That's what we went to last year. Okay.
We don't have to do that.
I strongly encourage convention, but that's up to you.
I mean, I'm just
That's
saying,
something that you need to be
go.
thinking about too. If you want to do a convention, I need to get with Teresa so we can get your reservations in there too.
We did. We went to the Upperland Hotel.
Would've
All
been
four
the convention.
of us.
But y'all didn't go to, you didn't have a convention. You went to your required
Required meeting.
new member meetings. You've not been, nobody in this board's been to convention.
Here's our
There's the convention man
man who
right
can
there.
tell us about the convention. One day you said wasn't worth going, right? I don't
But
remember.
there's some other former board members that tell you it's,
Okay.
you didn't go to
Now,
it.
Nathan loved it, and he gave an expert analysis of it every time. He absolutely loved it, but I don't have any money to buy what they're selling. And maybe it's,
Well, you may not have come with Desert 3.0.
I just, it's,
Well, they have some
lot of good products,
classes
lot of
on
good ideas.
Saturday that I like doing. That I found out some information. They have a school attorney thing that they do. There's other classes during the day that I like doing. Now, the hoopla, I'm not much into, but the classes is what I
What's it,
found.
what, convention? I don't know.
November, is that in November?
November, yes, sir.
So we're looking for August 21st. Okay.
I will look at for Ben, but you need to be thinking about November too.
Freddie,
So
director's comments, you've already commented a lot.
I have commented a lot, yes. I have one big comment though,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
$500 and some odd thousand comment. I have talked to Gregor Smee today. He has sent me that I sent to you the proposal in regarding the metal portion of Woodbury Grammar School roof.
I fell out of my chair when I read that.
Glad you were sitting down,
Yes.
but
You should have warned us.
this is what he was saying and what it's going to be. Now, what we have right now and I got in trouble for saying right now, we're at the commission meeting, but we'll say it right now. We have in the bank, we're still waiting for the second installment. But the first installment, we have $381,547.62. That was an insurance claim of what they said after doing all they did and all their adjusters. We had another adjuster come in who deals only with roof claims specifically. He didn't charge us anything as part of Mike Ford's deal. He looked at that again and saw and looked at some things that we thought they missed. They've been in negotiation. And we have now got another check for $154,630.47 for a grand total of $536,178.09.
So we're about halfway there.
So $536,178,000.
Do you see the front?
And
428.
Yeah. Pushing $1 million.
970.
this results, if you look at the second paragraph, this results in a total construction cost of up to $972,000.
Here's the only thing I want to tell you guys and kind of warn you about. The insurance company is giving you this money to fix that roof. If you do not fix that roof.
Yep.
And something happens at Woodbury Grammar, you're liable for the whole of the roof
It's like your house.
and everything else.
Every sheet on that roof damaged. Is
I
anybody gonna
would have to
survey?
get Mike Ford to testify in front of the board.
I mean, this is
because
saying
it can get
every
you-
sheet is damaged.
there was damage to all that entire roof, yes, sir. This is
It's
the
hard to
total,
believe that.
this is a
every
total,
sheet
this is
damaged.
a total replacement. This is a total replacement of that. If you don't,
You know where I'm getting at?
oh, I know where you're on.
I do, I can see where it could have. I mean, I've been on a roof that hailstorm destroyed 50 condensing boards. And I mean, they were spread over 20 acres. I mean, I could possibly see it, but then again, you look at what they're gonna have to
I mean, I hadn't been
pull
up there. I don't know.
I haven't either.
And
I have been
remember-
up there and what I'm seeing, I'm not, number one, I like to preface this, I am not a roofing consultant, nor do I want to be a roofing consultant.
Nor do you play one of
Nor do
them.
I play one on TV. So I'm just saying, I've looked at it and they are in places substantial dents. Now, how long those dents would go without having problems, I can't tell you that. I don't think Mike Ford could tell you that. But I can get Mike, if you want him with the, to testify or whatever, if we're in front of the board, we can do that. But you've got that money. Now I need to tell Greg what to do with it.
I'm just saying, if there's a significant amount of sheets that are good, and we're looking at a difference of what you said, 400 something thousand, you know?
But I'm also looking at, Wade, or Mr. McMackins, I'm also looking at 20 years down the road. It's what I'm looking at as the director on that building.
Well, we wouldn't be touching the roof right now if it wasn't damaged.
You've got the flat part is now been redone.
I'm just saying, you know what I'm
It's
saying?
good.
I'm saying we wouldn't even be talking about this if
That's
somebody
true.
says we're damaged. And we
That's-
need the whole roof replaced.
That's true.
435, 8291.
I mean, that's a significant amount of money,
That's a lot of money.
even with the insurance. We're
Yeah,
short.
and that's an estimate there. That's an estimate is what that is. I don't know how much that would
That doesn't
be.
make it warm and
The
fuzzy.
bid,
We can use some of this or any stage, right?
yes, sir.
That just takes away from new construction.
Yes, sir.
But we are keeping that building
We're keeping that building.
and adding on to it.
Anything else, Mr. Curtis?
Yeah, good news.
That's pretty good right there. That's a pretty good amount. The good news, we got more than what, before we only had 300 grand. Now you've got $154,000 added to that to get, you're above $500,000, so you're over half, but there again, the total cost of that results total construction cost of up to that right there is what grabbed my attention more than anything on this. But we got more money, and you know why we got more money? Is because we had a roofing consultant. So if you do this, I'm saying after paying that lump sum of $68,040, you would turn right around and you would get your Mike Ford with that, plus Gregor's expertise as the architect. Originally designed it, that roof put it on. Okay?
How much the architect charge us to put this all together? Is it $47,000?
I'm at train.
No, the architect. What was his fee?
Well, on this particular project or on
It
another,
was listed, I don't have it in front
on
of me.
another
Wasn't it
particular
listed?
project. I mean,
No, this project.
he just put this one on this particular project, then he would charge you $68,040 to do that. To be and have that and have a roof consultant. On their old roof, on their old other one, it was upwards of this. It was like, I want to think like 90,000 total on the project at 1.2. The $2.1 million original it came in at 1.9. Is that on that one? Yeah, that was about 90,000, yeah. Or more. I think I'd have to go back and look and see the exact figures there, but it was a lot.
You got it back.
7%.
You got it back.
Yeah.
Just from the insurance alone, you got that more.
Have to do it, have to do it.
Do you want a new roof on Woodbury Grammar? That's the question.
We'll have to.
And timing's horrible. Timing's horrible because bills going up
We've got a new roof on.
on the flat part of Woodbury Grammar, yes, sir. But the other part, it's those two wings, those two major wings that you got where kids are at. That's where, and so far, Emily are still there. Emily, you've encountered any leaks under the metal portion of the roof?
Under the flat part,
Yeah, no, the metal part,
we have one section that we're trying to see if it's a sprinkler or if it's the roof that in that area on the hallway part, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, the metal, the metal part of the roof. On the two main hallways, the two main wings. The flat part's only on the office and the cafeteria and the gym. That's been done.
Yes,
But I'm talking about the other parts of the building.
yes, we're just waiting on one air conditioning unit to be fixed at one area, and then I think I'll look tomorrow, but I'm pretty sure there's one sprinkler we're hoping it's the sprinkler, not the roof.
Gotcha.
Karen, how many leaks do you have?
How much time do you have? I'm just sitting up here thinking Westside would love to have a roof repaired. I know that was brought up for discussion and thrown down, but we literally have water running down our wall in the cafeteria. We have water running down the hall in down the wall in our.
Part of that was a
fifth grade
condensation leak there as part of that was, we got that.
Part of it maybe, but part of it is when it rains.
Yeah.
It runs down the wall in our
Pulls,
fifth grade
pulls,
classroom.
and-
We have a leak in our computer lab. We change tiles in there. Every time it rains.
So multiple leaks
Yeah,
at
but
Westside.
it's gonna be that, it's that way everywhere, except for the ones that we fixed. Which was, I had to sell my soul for commission to get those fixed. Anyway, all right,
That's, Mr. Chairman, that's, we've had some good news with Bonnie's grant, just the money just is there, that nursing grant, so.
that's
We'll
like I
supplant,
was saying
supplant.
before, we can spend $2 or $3 million at each school. And, in a little while, you can't even tell we've been there.
There is some summer work going on, I will say, Mr. Chairman, and I won't say this till tomorrow night, I'll go in Thursday night. We do have some summer work going on. We have two major projects. One project is at West Side, where we have an old water line underneath the concrete. Instead of digging all that up, we're gonna go up above and come down at that older boys restroom. There are miscarriages that we're gonna be doing. Rex is already getting materials ordered, and we're doing that. Another major project, we have water damage at Cannon County High School in the home ec area that got on the carpet. We're changing the carpet out to tile.
Where did that occur?
A while back.
All that?
It was a while back, but we got that. For that.
No leaks at the high school now, right?
No, this was a while back, and this was not a roof leak. This was a water source AC unit leak that caused this major damage at Cannon County High School. So we got an insurance settlement on that, and we're gonna take that and retile that bathroom. I mean, that classroom. And then we're gonna work on a couple other areas. If I got some money left there, I promised Mr. Nichols that we would work on a couple other projects he's got that needs some flooring. And so I've had to go ahead and price some flooring on that other two. But our maintenance guys are putting down the tile there.
You ever had anybody come into your school and look around and see what kind of contaminants were actually in the air? Have we ever done that?
We have, years ago, we did.
I know. that
Years
they-
ago,
I
we
did a
did.
test myself years ago.
How'd that come up? That's what I thought.
I did when I was principal, we did, we had to do.
There's no telling how much mold and asbestos is actually in those buildings.
Now,
Well,
we had
asbestos, we know.
asbestos.
Asbestos, we tell you exactly everywhere,
Yeah, we're pretty good with
The asbestos, we're
We
good.
had
I
a,
know you know where it's at.
Oh, we're good. It's not outgoing.
You're positive it's not in
The
there.
fibers are not there. It is undisturbed.
we have a lot of moisture. So
We have
that's,
a lot of septic problems too.
you know what? I mean, it's,
Don't say it. Don't say it.
well, yeah, I know. I'll
Don't
jinx
jinx
myself.
yourself.
Other than what he's about to do in our bathroom now, I was about to say we're floating. That's a different way to say
Y'all had
that.
quite a bit of work though.
But
We
remember,
have,
we had,
yes.
remember,
We
we had a
did do the
major
classroom
problem.
and had to do that.
We had
so
a
that
major
fixed
problem in
that.
in the cafeteria that we had to dig a trench through a classroom to get that done because it was done inappropriately back.
And we've
in the
just
day.
emptied our septic tank, so
All
we're in
grease traps
really
will be-
good shape with that. And then what we're about to do, I mean, I feel like honestly, I don't want to jinx ourselves, but once we get this project finished, he's about to finish up, we should be pretty good septic bathroom wise.
You think so?
If we could take care of the moisture coming from above, that would be fantastic.
Where's it coming from?
Well, rain and leaks and
Roofs.
Talking about roof.
We're talking about roof leaks.
West side,
You said above, I didn't know that was something else.
according to our data, west side was number 4 as far as leak wise going, but it's already had 2+ years on top of that.
Yes, sir.
So it's continually getting worse. And then you've got east side and you've got Short Mountain. It goes on and on and on.
And I will tell you, it is spot on with what the architect said, where the edges are coming off the walls. That's where most of our leaking is occurring. It's coming in the edges and coming down the walls. So it's not necessarily like where we can even catch it with buckets. It's literally just like coming
You know,
down. the
what
wall.
happens, you've had settlement, around the edge. This is the edge.
Mhm.
Around that edge, you've got a hump there that has to
That
get over
membrane
to
is.
get into the deal. And it doesn't get over that hump and it just stays there. And then it comes down the wall. That's what happens.
And they can take rubber repair and repair that, but that's not always permanent. When they do the rubber repair and repair that, so we'll fix it here and then it'll pull away another place.
Because you
That's
got the
exactly
UV
what the
rays. That's what
architect
happened at Woodland. It was ponding and we got over we Greg and them adjusted that to get it over that when that new membrane comes back. The problem is she's dealing with what, 20-year-old membranes, I guess, or 25-year-old membranes.
I've been there 13 years and it's not been touched since I've been
Yeah.
there, so.
It was, the roof
As
was
a principal.
redone when we did that roof was redone. And I want to think my second year in as principal, so that would have been 2003. So it's 20 years, a 20-year deal that's done. It's been over the warranty. Warranty on that type of roof has been out.
All right, I'll talk to some people in the community. People you trust, people you don't have to agree with you, but you have to understand where we're at.
So can I ask about the elephant in the room, just because I want clarification? Have you guys already voted to add on to Woodbury Grammar?
We voted for new construction. We set aside some money. We haven't,
Was that ESER
That's her two.
we haven't had it bid out. We haven't had it.
We voted to allocate the money to
Yeah.
Woodbury Grammar, but
See, the
that
thing-
money can be changed.
The thing we're looking at is if we were to go, see, the state of Tennessee will not let you go bankrupt. We can't go bankrupt.
Right?
What they will do is the comptroller's office will come in here and make us match the BEP. Well, if they do that, we have no way, or no one can come up with a way to move the kids around to fit in the buildings that we currently have. How you do that? You gotta lose 34 teachers, and there's no way to do that. If we had Woodbury Grammar so it would hold K through pre-K through 4, then we can manage with possibly Woodland and possibly West Side having 2 middle schools for a little while and have some room to maneuver around it. Right now, we don't have any room to move anywhere. That's
Well, I'll
just,
tell you what was an aha for me, and I think I said this when we were at the high school. And I've already said, I've always pushed for the community schools until we started looking at the minutes that my teachers have with their students versus the minutes that some of the other schools' teachers have with their students.
it's not just.
You
that,
can't
it's
do the same in 7 minutes. If you told David King, you have 7 minutes to remodel this bathroom, and you told somebody else you have 7 hours to remodel this bathroom, you're gonna get a better bathroom in 7 hours than you are 7 minutes. That's just the world. And I have teachers who have 7 minutes with their students as opposed to other students who have 2 hours with that same, with a teacher. And that's, I mean, if you could figure out a way to rezone, restructure, make the money work. But right this minute, I have kids who have 7 minutes of their teacher's time. And we have other students in this county that are getting 3 and 4 hours of a teacher's time.
You also
It's
have
not comparable for the kids.
8,000
Take
to
the adults out
9,000
of it.
Spend on your kids per kid, and some of the other schools have 11, 12. Kids, they spend on their kids, so it's.
When we started looking at that and I started looking at my kids, take the adults out of it. Take the adults out of it. Don't say my teachers have 7 minutes to teach the kids. My kids have 7 minutes of that adult's time. When you look at it that way, for me as a principal, it was eye-opening. And we're the middle kid, so we're in the worst case scenario right now, which I guess is kind of what's opened my eyes to part of it too, because Woodland and Woodbury have enough to have 2 of everything. And the smaller schools have 1 of everything. And then I've got 3 classes I'm sitting on right now. If I put 3 kids in, they'll split. But we're literally pushing the max number of what we can even have. The only thing that would split my lower grades right now would be an average, I guess, with some of them. As we have to stay under averages even if we're right at the maximum. So, you know, I had 33 kids sitting in 8th grade this year. And my teachers do a fantastic job, so I'm taking nothing away from my teachers. My teachers do a fantastic job, and that teacher did a fantastic job with those 33 kids. But never missed a beat.
On her though.
Well, it's that many papers that need to be graded. It's all of that, but I'm talking about physical time in the day that my students get. And you know as well as I do, as a parent, if you have one child, that child gets more attention than if you've got 7 kids. That's just the truth.
Since we're talking about this, I don't know if it's the proper time to talk about this. Last 3 days, I've been kicking this around. I went back and looked at some of my old notes. And the reality is it's cheaper to build an elementary school than it's a middle school. I know you go laugh, but I started looking at it because number one, a 2-story building costs you 30%, 30 to 40% more for various reasons. One, about 50 to 75,000, 65 to 70,000 for an elevator. You have to have extra hallway, stairwells in case those elevators don't work. You have to have a maintenance contract, probably continuous maintenance contract on the elevator right there. You gotta have a heavier building below because you're supporting the 2nd story. The contractor fees go up because they have to use a different equipment for 2nd story buildings versus single story buildings. So Woodbury Grammar was kind of designed to be a middle school, to tell you the truth, from the beginning.
You're right back to where I started.
I know, sorry. I'm in full circle. I'm just trying to be real. So Russell Reed stood up in the budget meeting and he was talking, spouting $30 million. And he had a point. Now, I don't think we was ever at that point. I don't know where he got that number.
He's just saying, I think he was using that because we told him 23 to 25.
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, number one, you can build smaller classrooms. Gregor gave us the list on that, and I took the average. So I'm thinking around 70,000, 75,000 square foot building. And I mean, 16, 17 million dollars would build that.
You've got to refurbish Woodbury Grammar to be a middle school.
Do what?
You'll have to refurbish Woodbury Grammar to be your middle school.
And you've got an aging high school to make sure that you're going to have
Refurbish it.
It's set up for kids.
Well, I don't.
bathrooms have to
I'm
be,
not-
some of the bathrooms have to be redone. Miss Bonnie's been the principal there, she could tell you.
Yeah.
She's been the principal there and she dealt with it on how much you'd have to end up doing there.
That's
But
what I thought at the beginning. I pitched that a long time ago. And I wanted Woodbury Grammar to be middle school, build an elementary school. Somebody convinced me the middle school would be cheaper.
No, it really wouldn't. It's not. It's never anywhere cheaper. Anywhere in the country cheaper.
you would have less kids is what.
High schools are the most
You'd have less kids
things
and
to build. Middle school.
that's why you could get the cheaper cost because you would have less kids in there. And then until we started looking at the plans closely on Woodbury Grammar, and then we you looked at it and you said, you can't get 5th grade in there. You can't get a pre-K through 5th in there. Wade and I looked at that. I mean, detailed.
If you add it on to the way we plan to do, could you do that? Could you get pre-K through 5th in there?
No. It's still gonna be crowded. Wade and I had sit down and looked at that.
5th, 6th, 7th, 8th will go in there
It would without an addition, it would.
without an addition.
That's right. So we could take the addition money and put it on the,
Even if you had to take some of that money to refurbish.
that's fine with me.
But then you're still looking at probably 800 plus elementary school you're still gonna have to do. And I would build it probably for 900. If you go K, if you do K through 5, and that's where every educator I've talked to in the system would rather have it that 5th grade in with the elementary school. This makes sense.
I took the maximums, I took the average classroom size. I left out K on purpose because there probably has to be about 7 or 8 K level classrooms. So some of those schools may have to take that load on for a little while to get school built, but eventually they can all go into your, if you add, I just took the highest number, but it's around 480 students from K through 3. And then you had another 143, another 150 for the fourth grade. So what is that? 476 and 480 and 150 is 600 and something students, 600 plus. So like you said, 700. I mean, I look back just what we've enrolled and took kind of our highest number.
Pre-K 90 was in that.
Yeah, so, you know, you around 700 student school. And they're spending 25 million in Rutherford to build one that holds 1,200. So half of that, I'm just figuring out half of that, and then I upped it from that.
Right.
That's 12 and a half, so 16 or 17 might be more reasonable, but to build a middle school, elementary school. But it's just something to think about. I was just
Yeah,
kicking
Smart
it
is
around.
doing that right now. I'm gonna be with Upper Cumberland directors tomorrow. First time I've been out in a year and a half. But I'm going to Cookville tomorrow, and I will talk with the White County director, Mr. John Barger, and I'll see how much there's cost to them. And then DeKalb's currently looking at, they're building one too, behind
So you
North Side there.
Be sure to ask
I'll
the
ask
numbers
Patrick.
though, because that's.
I'll ask
important.
Patrick on how many kids, how many numbers. I'm thinking that Kurtz was, I want to think the way it was 450, but I'll get verification. from Kurt on
450
it. It cost them 16 million 2 years ago. Before COVID, I went over that we looked at.
For how many students?
I think it's 450. Let me see how much that is. And I'll talk to Patrick tomorrow too and see what they're building on. They're building another, they're Smith Elementary, and elementary is being built behind North Side. They've got the land, so I don't know how Patrick and we're coming along on that. Should you have any ideas?
I don't think they've done,
They've not done anything on the property. They got the property,
they've got the
but
property, but they've
they've
not.
not done anything yet on that, so.
Now, and I think years ago, when they were looking at it, they were looking at about 800 to 900 students.
Yeah, because you had how many?
Because at one
You had
point,
how
I
many?
had
You had how
up
many
to
at Smith
7 I
Elementary?
had up to 700 at one point. Smith Elementary.
That's nice to have somebody that's been a
And
principal.
that was, I mean.
You had how many at your max, you had how many at Smith Elementary?
A little over 700.
And then you had half of the second grade, the other half of the
And
second
then we
grade
had
was at
3
North Side.
secondary classrooms at North Side.
Yeah, then you had to go over to North Side, so there you go. I mean,
So that's, like I said, before I left, that's what they were looking at was, I think, 8 to
but I'm
900.
thinking it cost them 16 million to build that for 450. So they're about, they already had the land.
What's the next one? Ron?
I don't have Rutherford's building 1,200 for 23 million. 24 million.
Well, I mean, they're putting one right up after another.
No, it's still money. I mean, they still gotta build it. They gotta pay for it.
So do you guys have a timeline on what this looks like? Because I will tell you where we are as
It's allowed
administrators.
for the ESER 2.0, it's allowed. for
It
the
just,
ESER
it's like a building
Right,
block.
yes,
Yeah.
so it's still
I just now
infrastructure.
really got
is
people
added
that
to
would
it.
listen and look at the budget,
Right,
and we've got to move on this extra money. So I mean, we're doing all that we can. I personally don't see any school closing next year at all.
next school year.
I don't think it's possible.
And I think that's what most people are thinking, but possibly the year after.
If we could get moving and have something, it depends on, a lot of it will depend on the amount of money we have to make on the payment.
Right,
Personally, my personal opinion, and I can't speak for all of these, I would love to see every school stay open until construction is complete. And then everybody suffer the same fate, the same way. I don't know that that's possible. We'll see. That's what I would like to see. I don't know that everybody feels the same way that I do, but I don't want to pick on communities,
right.
and I don't, but it depends on how it goes. And then we can't come up with a good way to move all the kids around anyway without putting them in a central location. So if we do close the school, what are you gonna do to the kids? Where are you gonna put? It's gonna be an inconvenience. It's not gonna be comfortable till we work our way through it. Unless somehow money could magically fall out of the sky, but
Then you gotta have a builder.
I think you can see I mean, you're looking at millions more on roofs, you're looking at millions more on maintenance, and you can put that to something that's gonna last 30 or 40 years instead of buildings that were built in 1956, 57. That's never gonna end.
Right.
And
I'm
there's
just
no-
asking the questions that
there's
our
nowhere to-
educators in the county are asking.
Because
Because I will tell you, there is every rumor in the world, down to the point that somebody has threatened to burn down Jennifer's house.
Yes, they did.
But I'm saying they said it's gonna stop because that happened, and that's unfortunate, because you know what? People should not do those kinds of things.
Well,
But at the end of the day, I'm like, Jennifer's one vote, so I hate that they've done that, Jennifer. That is so unfortunate, and probably should have been reported, maybe.
It was.
Oh, good. But, I mean, there's people in the county that think everything's been put completely on hold because of that. And there's 100 other rumors that have come to me. And I just think, I know we don't know all the answers, but the more transparent we can be with what we're trying to do, I think that quells a lot of things. And I know right this minute, y'all don't know exactly what you're doing. I mean, I don't mean that bad, but you don't know exactly what's going to happen, what the timeline's going to look like. But you have already allocated money. You have voted on money for new construction.
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
that was done.
That's when that.
Okay,
when I got threatened.
I got some figures for you. Nice to have friends. It was designed for 600, this is in Sparta. It was designed for, that's probably one of the newest elementary schools built in Tennessee. 650 is what it can hold. Cost was 16 million. Oh, no, I said the cost was 16 million. That's what I put, question mark. No, he responded, it cost me 20 million.
Yeah.
Cost us 20. And then it had some extra bells and whistles.
That's what I was gonna say.
May it could have been built cheaper, but this was pre-COVID and we were trying to get it designed for what was best for our kids, is what he said.
But-
So
I mean, run this
20
by
million,
the way,
650, 20 million.
That's gonna be a bigger footprint, will it fit in the square foot in the area that we have?
Fit on the Hoover, won't fit up there.
Won't fit up there, will it?
Unless you'd be right back in the same boat going 2 stories. We had to be 2 stories up there,
Had to be.
but we wouldn't have to tear the gym down now. Who knows later down the road, that might be able to be restored. Got a great basement in it for a alternative school. I'm just
It's in rough
saying,
shape, it's in
we
rough.
just missed
If you get over there,
$300,000.
We need to take a tour over there to look at that for you.
It was a grant we missed because we didn't have the money to spend on it, but they would have gave us $300,000 to renovate that gym. But we'd had to put money into it and then we'd have got that at the end. So if we put 600 in it, that'd give us 3 back, basically, I'm trying to say.
I don't think 600,000, because I remember Ms. Parker said it take about $1 million to get just.
And
easy
that's
done.
pre-COVID. I would say it'd probably take 2 million to restore that facility.
But I don't.
I mean, I'm just saying, that's just things that that's money we would have to spend to tear it down.
Okay, anybody got anything else?
Thank y'all.
It'll be interesting for the next few months, I think, but
I think when the community sees us start to do something, rather than talk about it, they'll feel better. Whether it's a new school, a new building, an addition, something. They hear about all this money we're getting and we're not doing anything. They just need to see something. Like they said the other night, they just want it on paper or see us do something. Because we just keep talking about what we're gonna do.
Well, that's kind of why I asked those point blank questions, because
There's been reasons for that. That hadn't been just by happenstance.
Oh, no, I didn't say that.
No, I'm just saying, but when people say that to us as a group, they have to understand that there's circumstances involved.
Right. I mean, even though we've got the ESSER money coming, we don't have it yet.
Yeah.
So we can't spend it because we don't have it.
Only recently did we knew even know what we could do with it.
some of it,
Oh, yeah.
we don't have 3.0 yet. Is it been positive yet? 3.0? Do we have it?
Well, we don't even have 2.0 yet.
What were you saying, sir? I'm sorry.
When are we gonna receive all the ESSER funds? That one.
Well, you won't receive 3.0 until after you submit the plan. And that has to be approved by the State Department of Education on 3.0. 2.0 already in progress. It's already there. You got it. It's just it's in hold right now because you spent certain parts of 2.0, but you didn't spend, there's about $1.2 million that's not been touched on that.
Okay, any more questions, anybody? Alright, we're good, we're done.
I like kids getting out of class, everybody's jumping up.
Ah.